Hi, this is Chris Cook from 3M Commercial Graphics. Today I'd like to talk about a question that I get quite regularly in our applicator training courses, and that's about the fine scratches that you often get in a graphic when you're applying to a vehicle. Most commonly you'll see it in very high gloss graphics, or also perhaps now in some of the matte films, the wrap films. The cause of these scratches is actually usually due to just small dirt and dust particles that cause little scratches in the face of the film. Now they may be either actually on the edge of your squeegee or your applicator, or they may actually be sitting on the surface of the film. We've applied a small piece of a high gloss black film to the bonnet of this car, and if we can go to a close-up shot, you can see the network of very, very fine scratches that are in the surface. Usually you only see them mostly when you get some sort of direct light on them, or get the light in just the right orientation. But with these scratches, probably the most important thing is try to avoid getting them in the first place. But if you do happen to get them, there are a few things that you can do to actually get rid of them. But ideally, we don't want them to happen in the first place. And there are a few quite simple things that you can do to avoid them. And the first one is to keep your work environment as clean as possible. As I mentioned, they're usually due or caused by little dust particles on the surface of the film. So the first thing you can do is make sure that you've got a nice clean area for doing your application in. Make sure that your floor is nice and clean and dust free, and also try to exclude the wind, because the wind and breeze blowing through your workshop will stir up the dust and cause it to get onto the graphic. So make sure your environment is clean. Secondly, make sure that the surface of the film is clean when you're squeegeeing it. Any dust that settles onto that surface will start to generate those scratches. These scratches are most especially caused when you're doing that sort of secondary squeegee process, where you're going back and applying good firm pressure to make sure you've got good adhesion. That extra pressure just makes it more likely to generate the scratches. And also by that stage too, the film's been on the vehicle for a little while and it's had a chance for dust to settle out on it. So before I do that re-squeegeeing process, often get a clean, lint-free cloth and actually give the surface a wipe over, just very softly, to remove any dust that's sitting on the surface. So now I've got a clean graphic surface to squeegee on. What I'll also do is make sure that my squeegee is not going to do any scratching either. Now there are various ways that you can do that. Some people like to use the Velcro, self-adhesive Velcro, the loop side on the edge. The 3M low friction sleeves are also very good. Other people will use a lint-free cloth wrapped around the edge of the squeegee. Again, very good. The key thing is we want an edge that's not too hard, and also one that we can keep nice and clean to make sure that it's not going to add any dust. Using the felt block squeegees can also be very good, as long as we can generate enough pressure when we're using them. But again, the key thing is to make sure that we've got a nice clean edge, and that any dust is not on the edge of the squeegee, is not going to actually scratch the film. Now, if you've done your best to avoid scratches in the first place by keeping your environment clean, keeping the graphic itself nice and clean, and making sure that your squeegee edge is nice and clean as well, you've done all of that, but despite your best efforts, you still do have some very fine scratches. And hopefully, they are only very fine. There are a couple of things that you can do to actually get rid of them. First one is actually use a little bit of heat. You use your heat gun and actually just gently warm the surface of the film. You'll notice that heat just causes the PVC to relax, and the scratches will actually disappear. It's actually surprisingly effective. You can get exactly the same effect by leaving the car parked out in the sun for a couple of days. Heat gun does the same thing, it just does it a lot more quickly. So heat is very effective. The second thing you can do, and you may actually do this as well as the heat, is to actually use a good quality car wax. This is Meguiar's Quick Wax, just like a liquid spray wax. The wax will actually fill and smooth out those scratches so that they're not visible. And you basically just apply it as per the manufacturer's instructions. So in this case, we're going to spray it onto the surface. Again, with a clean lint-free cloth, we don't want to cause any more scratches in doing this. rub that into the surface until it hazes off. And then with another dry, clean, lint-free cloth, buff it off the surface. And you'll find that that's actually surprisingly effective at making those little scratches disappear. So, two things that you can do: use the heat, either with the heat gun or just the natural heating from the sun, and then also the good quality car wax, liquid wax, can actually cause those scratches to even diminish further. Anyway, it is a common problem. You'll see it most often in the high gloss films, but as more people are starting to use like our 1080 series films with say the matte black, they are also a little bit prone to scratching as well. If you are using a matte film or a textured film like a carbon fibre, be very careful with the heat gun. If you overheat those films, you can change the surface texture. You can gloss up the matte film. And also not recommended use a car wax on a textured film either a carbon fibre or a matte film, because it will again change the gloss level of the film. Anyway, so a few simple tips there to remove those scratches. Firstly, avoid them if you can by excluding dust from the process, and secondly, if you do unavoidably get some, heat and a good quality car wax can help diminish their effects. Anyway, this has been Chris Cook from 3M Commercial Graphics. Thanks for watching. Once again, if you have any questions, comments or suggestions, please put them in the comments section below. But otherwise, thank you very much. See you next time.